Sagittarius, your hardest test is done, a new life begins. What if everything that broke you was it building you? What if the silence you mistook for abandonment was divine timing? And what if the life you've been chasing is already on its way, quietly, powerfully, right behind the next breath? Sagittarius, this isn't just another horoscope. This is the moment your soul has been waiting for. Because of your story, it's not about pain anymore. It's about power. You've survived the storm, the breakdown, the unraveling of everything you thought would last. But here's what most people never realize. The struggle wasn't a punishment. It was a portal. And today, you're standing at the threshold of the life that's finally ready to meet you. But before we step fully into this new timeline, if your heart is already beating faster, if your chest tightened a little because this feels too aligned to be a coincidence, that's your confirmation. So take a breath. And while you're here, give this message the energy it deserves. Help me grow Zodiac Whisper into a space for souls like yours. Juke, one share, and one subscription are all it takes to help us reach our first milestone, 1,000 cosmic souls connected. This isn't just a video, it's a mirror. And if you're ready to see who you were always meant to become, stay with me, because your new era doesn't begin when the stars align. It begins when you decide it does. The sacred struggle. Every breakdown had a divine purpose. No one signs up for heartbreak. No one volunteers for disappointment. And yet, somehow, Sagittarius, you've survived more than most. You've stood at the edge of everything you believed in, watching it slowly fall apart. There were nights you whispered prayers into silence, hoping the universe would whisper back. And yet, it didn't. Not at first. There's a kind of pain that doesn't just wound, it rewrites you. You felt that, haven't you? The quiet undoing of who you used to be. You kept moving, even when it felt pointless. You kept loving, even when it wasn't returned. You kept believing, even as doubt crept in like fog. But here's what no one told you. That breakdown never ended. It was the sacred start of something greater. We've been taught to fear the fall. But what if falling apart was exactly what needed to happen? What if your rock bottom wasn't a curse, but a reset? It's a divine deconstruction. The universe doesn't remove things to punish you. It removes them to prepare you. You weren't losing. You were shedding. That version of you who played minor just to keep the peace, gone. The one who waited to be chosen. Who overgave to people who never saw your worth, done. What remains is raw, honest, whole. This is where most people stop watching Sagittarius, right here. Minute 3. They can't sit with the discomfort. They skip ahead, or worse, they walk away. But you've made it this far because deep down you know the pain had a purpose. Pause. Feel that? That's your soul nodding. The sacred texts, the mystics, the ancient teachers all say the same thing. Transformation isn't glamorous. It's messy. It hurts. It strips you bare so that your truth can finally breathe. The phoenix doesn't rise until it burns. Elon Musk didn't launch rockets into the cosmos without first crashing into failure. Repeatedly, publicly. But he kept going. Not because he didn't doubt, but because he believed beyond the doubt. You've done the same. Every no you received, it wasn't rejection. It was redirection. Every time someone left, that was the universe clearing space. Every silent chapter, that was your soul doing sacred work no one else could see. There's a deeper intelligence at play here. One that saw the brilliance in you long before you could. And when the old life no longer fit, it didn't wait for you to be ready. It cracked you open. That's not cruelty. That's mercy disguised as chaos. And now, after all the falling apart, comes the falling together. You're standing at the edge of something new, not because life is easier, but because you are stronger, more whole, more awake. And soon you'll realize that every breakdown was a breadcrumb. Every detour has a divine design, and every tear you cried watered the roots of the person you're about to become. Because this time, Sagittarius, you're not just surviving, you're stepping into the version of you that was always waiting, on the other side of the fire. Signs of the shift, how you know your destiny is arriving. Change doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it slips quietly, like the sunrise you didn't notice until it warmed your face. Sagittarius, you may not realize it, but the shift has already begun. The energy around you, it's different, softer, but also stronger, like something inside you has stopped fighting life and started flowing with it. That's how you know something real is happening. It's not in the dramatic wins, it's in the stillness, the sudden peace that replaces the panic, the strange sense that maybe, just maybe, things are about to get better. Not because everything around you changed, but because you did. Pay attention. The signs aren't grand, but they are precise. You'll wake up one morning and the heaviness will be gone. That tight knot in your chest, unraveled. That constant loop of overthinking, quieted. It's subtle at first, almost unnoticeable. But your soul notices. It breathes easier. It walks lighter. Then, opportunities start knocking. But they don't feel like battles anymore. They feel like alignment. The job you once had to chase suddenly finds you. The person you thought you had to prove yourself to, they now see you without explanation. Doors open not because you're forcing them, but because you've become the version of yourself that attracts what you've always deserved. And that's the secret. The universe doesn't scream, it whispers. You don't have to beg for what's meant for you. You only have to become the person who can hold it. Here's where most people don't realize what's happening. Around minute 4 of their journey, they get impatient. They say, nothing's changing, even though everything is. They mistake peace for boredom, silence for stagnation. Don't be one of them, because if you pause and look, you'll see that the people who used to drain your energy are disappearing. Not because you cut them off, but because they no longer match the vibration you've stepped into. Toxic friendships, one-sided love, exhausting obligations, they start fading effortlessly. It's not rejection, it's energetic recalibration. And in their place, you begin to feel something you haven't felt in years. Readiness. An inner yes. You stop second-guessing. You stop waiting for permission. You stop asking, am I good enough? And start asking, what's next? That's when you know the shift is fundamental. You no longer seek closure from your past, you offer it yourself. You no longer crave validation, you trust your reflection. You no longer wait for the timing to be perfect. You understand that you are in the moment. There's power in this phase, quiet, unshakable power. Because once you reach this point, there's no going back. You can't know your worth. You can't unsee your growth. You've crossed a threshold where your old life doesn't fit anymore. Not because it was terrible, but because it was small. And now, Sagittarius, you're finally expanding. So, if you've been wondering whether the shift is happening, it is. It just doesn't look like a lightning bolt. It seems like calm. It sounds like your own voice saying yes to yourself. And it feels like walking into a room and knowing you belong here now, because you've changed and the world is starting to respond. The spiritual awakening, your soul is no longer asleep. There comes a moment, often unnoticed, when you stop trying to control everything and start listening. At first, it's subtle, a nudge to say no when you usually say yes. There is a strange peace in letting someone walk away, a sudden discomfort around the things you once tolerated. It doesn't feel like fireworks, it feels like quiet rebellion. Like your soul is softly tapping on the door of your awareness, whispering, hey, remember me? Sagittarius, you've always been the seeker, searching for meaning in the stars, books, and conversations at midnight. But lately, that seeking has turned inward. Not because you've given up on the outside world, but because you've realized the answers never existed. You're not just waking up to life. You're waking up to yourself. This awakening doesn't happen all at once. It's not dramatic. It doesn't announce itself with light beams and angelic choirs. It often begins in darkness, in boredom, in the quiet ache of there has to be more than this. And there is, because the soul doesn't shout, it waits. It waits for you to grow tired of the noise, tired of performing. Are you tired of running from the parts of you that hold your power? And when you finally slow down, when you stop chasing and start feeling, that's when the shift begins. You begin to notice the stillness inside you, the space between thoughts, the moment before a reaction where choice exists. That's your soul stretching its limbs after a long sleep. That's your essence, reclaiming the space your ego used to occupy. You might feel alone during this time, like you're floating between two worlds, the one you're leaving and the one you haven't quite landed in yet. And that space, that sacred in-between, that's where the fundamental transformation happens. This is minute 5, Sagittarius. the moment when most people click away. But not you. You've been craving this, not more information, not more goals. You've been craving depth, truth, something real. And here it is, not in a book, a podcast, or someone else's story, but in your breath, your presence, your being. As you awaken, your senses sharpen. You hear the universe in synchronicity. You feel the vibration of rooms. You intuitively pull back from things that no longer resonate, not out of fear, but because your soul simply says, not aligned. And suddenly, you're no longer chasing the dream. You're aligning with it. This is what awakening looks like. You begin to choose what honors you. You begin to release what once defined you. You start to trust, not in fate, but in the path your higher self already knows exists. In Buddhist teachings, there's a concept called sati, the act of mindful awareness. Not just noticing your thoughts, but noticing who's noticing. That's you now. You are not your pain. You are not your past. You are not even your personality. You are the awareness behind it all. And that awareness is finally awake. You don't need to do anything spectacular to prove your growth. Your presence is proof. Your peace is proof. Your refusal to shrink back into old versions of yourself is proof. And as your soul rises from its slumber, life begins to meet you in this new vibration. Not with chaos, but with clarity. Not with struggle, but with alignment. Not with noise, but with truth. Because you're not just waking up to what you want, you're waking up to who you indeed are. And that changes everything. Wisdom from the warriors. What legends teach us about inner power. True strength is never loud. It's not in the battle cry. It's in the breath you take before the fight begins. Sagittarius, you were never meant to live a soft life. Not because the world doesn't want to give you ease, but because your soul was crafted for depth, meaning, and fire. And fire, by its nature, transforms everything it touches, including you. You felt this your entire life. The pull towards something more significant. The inner voice that says, keep going, even when your legs tremble. That's the spirit of the warrior within you. Not the one who seeks war, but the one who refuses to surrender to mediocrity. And you're not alone in that. Look at the lives of those we now call legends. Do you think they were born invincible? Elon Musk faced bankruptcy, public ridicule, and endless failure before anyone believed he could land a rocket, let alone return it from space. But he did it, not through certainty, but through stubborn, soul-deep belief that his vision mattered. Oprah Winfrey, laughed at, fired. She said she was unfit for television. She turned her scars into gold and gave a voice to millions in the process. Michael Jordan, cut from his high school basketball team. He didn't quit. He trained until quitting never occurred to him again. These names, we remember them because they kept going. But what we forget is that their strength came after they were broken. And Sagittarius, so did yours. The world will never know the full weight of what you've carried. But your soul knows, and so do the stars. Because like every warrior who's walked through the fire and emerged changed, your pain didn't destroy you, it refined you. Inner power isn't built in the spotlight, it's built in the dark. It's built in those moments you kept showing up when no one clapped, when no one cared, when the only person who believed in you was you. You don't need a sword to be mighty. Your persistence is your weapon. Your heart, your armor. Your ability to rise again and again, despite it all. That's the mark of a warrior. But here's the truth most people won't tell you. Warriors don't always feel strong. Sometimes they feel like imposters, like frauds. It's like they're pretending to be brave while secretly holding back tears. That's normal. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the refusal to let fear win. And right now, you're standing at the edge of something requiring every ounce of that inner power. Not to fight, but to claim. To stop surviving and start thriving. To walk into the life you once believed was too big for you and realize it was always yours. Because the warrior doesn't conquer others, the warrior conquers doubt. The warrior slays limitation. The warrior doesn't ask for the path to be easier. They ask for the strength to endure it. You, Sagittarius, are that warrior. Not because you have all the answers, but because you refuse to be defined by the pain. And now you rise, not in anger, not in revenge, not to prove anything to anyone. You rise in peace, because absolute power is quiet, and you, my friend, are louder in your silence than most will ever be in their screams. Dharma and Destiny, Lessons from the Buddha for the Modern Soul. Sometimes destiny isn't about where you're going, it's about who you're becoming on the way there. Sagittarius, for all your hunger for meaning, there's been one truth chasing you through every chapter of your life. You were never just here to succeed. You were here to awaken. In the West, we often speak of destiny like it's fixed, something pre-written in the stars, something we're either lucky to reach or doomed to miss. But in Eastern wisdom, especially in the teachings of the Buddha, there's a different idea. It's called Dharma, the sacred path, the alignment between your soul's most profound truth and how you move through the world. Dharma isn't a career. It's not a label. It's not a title you earn. It's a frequency you live in. And when you're living in alignment with your Dharma, life stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like a flow. Things click. Synchronicities appear. Time bends. You stop chasing and you begin attracting. But here's the catch. Most people never find it because they're too busy running after what they think they're supposed to want. The Buddha once said, "You only lose what you cling to." And you, Sagittarius, you've been letting go. Slowly, painfully, bravely. Letting go of expectations, of timelines, of needing to be understood by people who were never meant to understand you. That's not a weakness. That's spiritual maturity. You're not here to fit into the mold. You're here to melt it. And yes, that path is lonely at times, but it's also liberating, because every time you surrender what no longer aligns, you create space for what indeed does. That's how Dharma works. It doesn't show up when you have it all figured out. It shows up when you get out of your way. You start noticing which conversations drain you and which light you up. You begin choosing stillness over noise, truth over comfort, and purpose over popularity. Not because it's easy, but because your soul refuses to live small anymore. Destiny isn't a destination, it's a byproduct of alignment. And alignment happens moment by moment, breath by breath, choice by choice. You don't need to be perfect to walk your Dharma, you just need to be present. Right now. Here, this breath. And this one. In Buddhism, awakening isn't something you wait for, it's something you return to. Every time you choose presence over distraction, compassion over ego, truth over fear, you remember who you are. You are stepping back into your Dharma. You are letting destiny find you. Because here's the great secret. You don't need to chase your destiny. You just need to become the version of yourself it's already looking for. And Sagittarius, after everything you've shed, survived, and awakened to, you're almost there. This is no longer about what you want. This is about what your soul was built to carry. And the universe, it's watching, it's waiting, and it's whispering now. The manifestation path, how to align with the life meant for you. Dreams don't manifest through wishing, they manifest through matching. Sagittarius, you felt it building inside you, that quiet urgency, that knowing something bigger is calling your name. But here's what no one tells you. The life you want isn't just waiting for you. It's watching you. It's studying your actions. It's responding not to your desires, but to your alignment. Manifestation isn't magic. It's math. It's vibration. It's precision. The universe doesn't give you what you beg for. It gives you what you believe you're ready for. And belief isn't just a mindset. It's a pattern. It's built into how you speak and move and treat yourself when no one's looking. This is where everything changes. Not in theory, but in practice. Because you're no longer just hoping, you're becoming. Start here. Notice how you speak about your future. Is it with doubt or devotion? Do you say, "I'll try"? Or do you say, "It's mine"? Language is the nervous system of your manifestation. Every time you speak defeat over your dream, you delay its arrival. But if you talk from embodiment, from already having, already knowing, the universe responds in kind. Then look at how you hold your energy. Are you still leaking it into relationships that exhaust you? Still spending it on habits that numb you? Every leak is a detour. Every leak is a delay. You can't hold $1 million life with a cracked foundation. The vessel must match the vision. And yes, there will be doubt. There will be days you feel like nothing's shifting, like all your inner work is echoing into emptiness. But that's not failure. That's the test. Right here. Minute 4, minute 5. This is when most people quit. They say the affirmations. They do the journaling. They light the candles. But deep down, they still carry fear like armor. And the universe can't deliver to someone still preparing to run. So stop running. Make a decision. Not a wish, not a maybe, a decision to start acting as if your dream is already yours. Want love? Show up as love. Want wealth? Treat your energy like currency. Want peace? Stop entertaining chaos. Because the truth is, the moment you become the person who already has what you want, that's when it starts finding you. The people, the opportunities, the healing, the clarity, the calling. It all rushes in when your frequency becomes undeniable. And that frequency? It's built in the micro moments. When you choose stillness instead of scrolling, when you speak kindly to yourself after messing up, when you hold the vision on a day you feel invisible, that's alignment, that's embodiment, that's a manifestation in motion. You're not waiting anymore, Sagittarius. You're welcoming. You've already done the purging, the shedding, the healing. Now it's time to prepare the house, because the guests are arriving, because the vision is circling overhead, because destiny is watching, and only lands where it's invited with certainty. So step like it's yours, speak like it's here, live like it's done. If the stars placed this dream in your heart, they would also put the tools in your soul, and now it's your move. Closing reflection. The era begins when you decide it does. You've heard the call, not from me, not from the stars, but from somewhere deeper, somewhere only you can listen to. Sagittarius, it's not by accident if you've made it here. You didn't stumble onto this message, you were led. Every moment of resistance, every breakdown, every unanswered question, all of it was shaping you for this. This is a turning point, this invitation, this quiet, sacred nudge to step out of the old and into what's already been waiting for you. Not next year. Not when things calm down. Not when you feel ready. Now. Because readiness isn't a feeling, it's a decision. And at any moment you can decide. You can choose to carry no conversions of yourself that belong to yesterday. You can no longer delay joy until you feel deserving. Right here, you can stop asking the world for permission and start giving it to yourself. This is where the new era begins. Not because the stars said so, but because you say so. Everything you've been through wasn't in vain. Every closed door, every cracked voice, every silent prayer, they were threads weaving the tapestry of your awakening. And now, standing at the edge of a life that finally mirrors your worth, the only question left is, will you step into it? Not halfway, not with hesitation, fully, boldly, with your whole chest and your whole heart. The path is clear now, not because it's easy, but because you are. You've done the shedding. You've remembered your strength. You've returned to the quiet knowing that's been inside you all along. So go ahead. Say yes. Yes to the peace you once thought was impossible. Yes to the love you were told you had to earn. Yes to the power that never left you. It just needed your permission to rise. Your story doesn't end with the pain. It begins with the choice to rise anyway. And if you needed a sign, this is it. Welcome to your new era, Sagittarius. Now, go live like it.